I tell you what, this camera is a line in the sand. Any gang stalkers that come along knocking, trying to cross that line, I will record them and expose them to the world. So those gang stalkers better watch themselves.
So, going over recent relevant TI-related events in chronological order, there was the initial encounter with an especially unpleasant perp at the beginning of the year, apparently because I didn't close the door after myself. Then the situation deteriorated from there, and there was a brief exchange of blows with the same perp, in a classic demonstration of the sheer kamikaze-like desperation with which local harassment agents are sometimes compelled to go on the attack. Finally, there was the perp who I'd never seen before, but my instincts told me is a perp, who tried to follow me into the underground car park of my apartment complex just days after the fight. I'll leave links in the description to the full videos for those incidents. After all that commotion, I've been extremely vigilant of my surroundings ever since, because there are those perps who don't stop in my experience. They attack and attack with all the enmity they can muster. If you respond in kind, they play victim. When you walk away, they immediately go on the attack again before you've even taken the first 5 steps. It's like they're not in control of their actions, and therefore questioning the logic of their actions is pointless, like they're under some sort of demonic control. After the clash with the perp, I mentioned that I had taken the initiative for a change of reporting the incident to the police armed with the raw footage of it. Yes, I reacted to the perp's provocations, but the video clearly demonstrated his penchant for starting trouble where there was none, and it's the police's job to keep the peace. The police told me they would have a word with him. I was skeptical at the time. I've learned to never trust what the police tells me, but this perp hasn't said a word to me since, even though I've seen him several times when I've been out and about. So it definitely looks like someone said something to him, but civilians just aren't going to cut it in convincing someone like that to back off. So it was most likely the police because of their ability to issue the kind of ultimatums that should get most people's attention, and I have video that would make things difficult for him in a court of law if it came to that. Where I'm concerned, his ability to harass me has been compromised. From a handler's point of view, it would make more sense to redeploy his services elsewhere or have him play a less central role. The perp in question will appear to back off, taking a backseat, or they are given other targets, and the harassment workload for the original target is simply distributed among a wider circle of people who are connected in some way with the original perp or perps. It's not always the case that the new agents are connected to the original perp, but I've often seen it happen that way. These people will all assume more of the responsibility for continuing the persecution campaign against the target, so the target gets little rest or peace, and the gang stalkers can again weave a web of lies and appear credible if anyone comes asking questions. Any further attacks could resume a program of verbal harassment or constitute something a little more devious, like following the target around to gather intel that can then be used to attack the target more effectively, that is, without attracting any unwanted attention. There are other methods, but this video focuses on the 2 I just mentioned because those are the 2 methods that are being employed against me right now. Take this next clip for example. Unlike the first perp who I recorded following me into the car park a few weeks ago, these 2 didn't turn back once I stopped to observe them. You can see the perp I've highlighted with an arrow is the same person standing next to the perp I had a scuffle with. He's wearing pretty much the same style of outfit in both clips, with the same build and haircut. Not only is he standing close to the perp I scuffled with, he's also a known acquaintance of his. I've seen them sitting on benches in the street with groups of other people. You might not be able to see his face clearly because the light was behind him and he was walking into a dark area in front of him, so you might only be able to see a silhouette of him, but it's the same person. Make of the footage what you will, but it's my strong suspicion that they were following me on my way back from the shops, hence the very precise timing of their entrance into the car park below the building I live in, just seconds after me. Like I said, I'm on heightened alert, so I stop and turn around when I hear them, and they continue walking past me. They greet me as they get into talking distance, but I don't answer. The timing of their little excursion onto the grounds of the apartment building where I live, and they don't, is a little too convenient for my tastes. As you will see, they obviously don't know where they're going. In light of the recent scuffle with the other perp, and also the fact that I know one of these guys is an acquaintance of said perp, my instincts tell me that there's more to this than random circumstance, and that what we have here is that redistribution of the harassment workload I talked about earlier. Okay, on to the second clip. This one features an individual of Pacific Islander background engaging in some basic racial provocation after I walked past him one morning. This clip illustrates what I've said before in other videos, that the purpose of the whole racial provocation thing is purely to set the grounds for a fight, rather than something that's done out of racial hatred. Anyone can be racist to anyone, it's true, because I've been on the receiving end of this kind of attack from all kinds of people. But does it make sense to you to say it's about racial hatred when you then see those same people the next day walking down the street and chatting happily with other people of that race, or even sometimes while dating other people of that race? Anyway, until now, this individual has never said a word to me, not one, and I've seen him around for maybe 6 months, but he recently started to become hostile since the scuffle with the other perp. After I walk past this perp, he angrily calls out "Wog," which is repeated by one of his acquaintances sitting at a nearby table. I keep walking. Instead of entering through the doors like he indicated he was going to do when I exited the room, he instead walks after me as this whole scene is going on. like an empty meat vessel that's a conduit for something else, a soulless chess piece moved by a demonic hand. He then says, "Lot that pulley nigger." Using the word pulley, he's referring to the large sliding doors that I just walked through. In other words, using those big door handles, you either pull the doors open or closed. As I show, this particular individual was also present on the day of the fight with the other perp. He's also a known associate of that perp, and I've often seen them sitting down together. I've been waiting for an opportunity to get some video of all these agents sitting together, but like I said, the perp I clashed with has been keeping a lower profile than normal.
Listen.